The Story of My Heart by Richard Jefferies. Chapter 2. Sometimes I went to a deep, narrow valley in the hills, silent and solitary. The sky crossed from side to side, like a roof supported on two walls of green. Sparrows chirped in the wheat at the verge above, their calls falling like the twittering of swallows from the air. There was no other sound. The short grass was dried grey as it grew by the heat. The sun hung over the narrow vale as if it had been put there by hand. Burning, the sun glowed on the sward at the foot of the slope where these thoughts burned into me. How many years, how many cycles of years, how many bundles of cycles of years had the sun glowed down thus on that hollow? Since it was formed, how long? Since it was worn and shaped, groove-like in the flanks of the hills, by mighty forces which had ebbed. Alone with the sun which glowed on the work when it was done, I saw back through space to the old time of tree ferns, of the lizard flying through the air, the lizard dragon wallowing in sea foam, the mountainous creatures, twice elephantine, feeding on land, all the crooked sequence of life. The dragonfly which passed me traced a continuous descent from the fly marked on stone in those days. The immense time lifted me like a wave rolling under a boat. My mind seemed to raise itself as the swell of the cycles came. It felt strong with the power of the ages. With all that time and power, I prayed that I might have it in my soul, the intellectual part of it, the idea, the thought. Like a shuttle, the mind shot to and fro, the past and the present in an instant. Full of the brim of the wondrous past, I felt the wondrous present. For the day, the very moment I breathed, that second of time then in the valley, was as marvellous, as grand, as all that had gone before. Now, this moment was the wonder and the glory. Now, this moment was exceedingly wonderful. Now, this moment give me all the thought, all the ideas, all the soul expressed in the cosmos around me. Give me still more, for the interminable universe, past and present, is but earth. Give me the unknown soul, wholly apart from it, the soul of which I know only that when I touch the ground, when the sunlight touches my hand, it is not there. Therefore the heart looks into space to be away from earth. With all the cycles and the sunlight streaming through them, with all that is meant by the present, I thought in the deep vale and prayed. There was a secluded spring to which I sometimes went to drink the pure water, lifting it in the hollow of my hand. Drinking the lucid water, clear as light itself in solution, I absorbed the beauty and purity of it. I drank the thought of the element. I desired soul nature pure and limpid. When I saw the sparkling dew on the grass, a rainbow broken into drops, it called up the same thought prayer. The stormy wind whose sudden twists laid the trees on the ground woke the same feeling. My heart shouted with it. The soft summer air which entered when I opened my window in the morning breathed the same sweet desire. At night, before sleeping, I always looked out at the shadowy trees, the hills looming indistinctly in the dark. a star seen between the drifting clouds, prayer of soul life always. I chose the highest room, bare and gaunt, because as I sat at work I could look out and see more of the wide earth, more of the dome of the sky, and could think my desire through these. When the crescent of the new moon shone, all the old thoughts were renewed. All the succeeding incidents of the year repeated my prayer as I noted them. The first green leaf on the hawthorn, the first spike of meadow grass, the first song of the nightingale, the green ear of wheat. I spoke it with the ear of wheat as the sun tinted it golden. With the whitening barley, again with the red gold spots of autumn on the beech, the buff oak leaves, and the gossamer dew waited. All the larks over the green corn sang it for me. All the deer swallows, the green leaves rustled it. The green brook flags waved it. The swallows took it with them to repeat it for me in distant lands. By the running brook I meditated it, a flash of sunlight here in the curve, a flicker yonder on the ripples, the birds bathing in the sandy shallow, the rush of falling water. As the brook ran winding through the meadow, so one thought ran winding through my days. The sciences I studied never checked it for a moment, nor did the books of old philosophy. The sun was stronger than science, the hills more than philosophy. Twice circumstances gave me a brief view of the sea. Then the passion rose tumultuous as the waves. It was very bitter to me to leave the sea. Sometimes I spent the whole day walking over the hills searching for it. As if the labour of walking would force it from the ground, I remained in the woods for hours among the ash sprays and the fluttering of the ringdoves at their nests, the scent of pines here and there, dreaming my prayer. My work was most uncongenial and useless, but even then sometimes a gleam of sunlight on the wall, the buzz of a bee at the window, would bring the thought to me. Only to make me miserable, for it was a waste of golden time while the rich sunlight streamed on the hill and plain. There was a wrenching of the mind, a straining of my mental sinews. I was forced to do this. My mind was yonder. Weariness, exhaustion, nerve illness often ensued. The insults which are showered on poverty, long struggle of labour, the heavy pressure of circumstances, the unhappiness, only stayed the expression of the feeling. It was always there. Often in the streets of London, as the red sunset flamed over the houses, the old thought, the old prayer came. Not only in grassy fields with green leaf and running brook did this constant desire find renewal. More deeply, still with living human beauty, the perfection of form, the simple fact of form ravished and always will ravish me away. In this lies the outcome and end of all the loveliness of sunshine and green leaf of flower, pure water and sweet air. This is embodiment and highest expression, the scattered, uncertain and designless loveliness of tree and sunlight brought to shape. Through this beauty I prayed deepest and longest, and down to this hour. The shape, the divine idea of that shape, the swelling muscle or the dreamy limb, strong sinew or curve of bust, Aphrodite or Hercules, it is the same. That I may have the soul life, the soul nature, let divine beauty bring to me divine soul. Swart Nubian, white Greek, delicate Italian, massive Scandinavian, in all the exquisite pleasure the form gave and gives to me immediately becomes intense prayer. If I could have been in physical shape like these, how despicable in comparison I am! To be shapely of form is so infinitely beyond wealth, power, fame, all that ambition can give, that these are dust before it. Unless of the human form, no pictures hold me. The rest are flat surfaces. So too with the other arts. They are dead. The potters, the architects, meaningless, stony, and some repellent, like the cold touch of porcelain. No prayer with these. Only the human form in art could raise it, and most in statuary. I have seen so little good statuary, it is a regret to me. Still, that I have is beyond all other art. Fragments here, a bust yonder, the broken piece brought from Greece, copies, plaster casts, a memory of an Aphrodite, of a Persephone, of an Apollo. That is all. But even drawings of statuary will raise the prayer. These statues were like myself, full of a thought, for ever about to burst forth as a bud, yet silent in the same attitude. Give me to live the soul life they express. The smallest fragment of marble, carved in the shape of the human arm, will wake the desire I felt in my hill prayer. Time went on. Good fortune and success never for an instant deceived me that they were in themselves to be sought. Only my soul thought was worthy. Further years bringing much suffering, grinding the very life out, new troubles, renewed insults, loss of what hard labour had earned, the bitter question, is it not better to leap into the sea? These, too, have made no impression. Constant still to the former prayer of my mind endures. It was my chief regret that I had not endeavoured to write these things, to give expression to this passion. I am now trying, but I see that I shall only in part succeed. The same prayer comes to me at this very hour. It is now less solely associated with the sun and sea, hills, woods, or beauteous human shape. It is always within. It requires no waking, no renewal. It is always with me. I am it. The fact of my existence expresses it. After a long interval I came to the hills again, this time by the coast. I found a deep hollow on the side of a great hill, a green concave opening to the sea, where I could rest and think in perfect quiet. Behind me were furze bushes dried by the heat. Immediately in front dropped the steep descent of the bowl-like hollow which received the brought up to me the faint sound of the summer waves. Yonder lay the immense plain of sea, the palest green under the continued sunshine, as though the heat had evaporated the colour from it. There was no distinct horizon. A heat mist enclosed it and looked farther away than the horizon would have done. Silence and sunshine, sea and hill, gradually brought my mind into the condition of intense prayer. Day after day, for hours at a time, I came there, my sole desire always the same. Presently I began to consider how I could put a part of that prayer into form, giving it an object. Could I bring it into such a shape as would admit of actually working upon the lines it indicated for any good? One evening, when the bright white star in Lyra was shining almost at the zenith over me, and the deep concave was the more profound in the dusk, I formulated it into 3 divisions. First, I desired that I might do or find something to exalt the soul. something to enable it to live its own life, a more powerful existence now. Secondly, I desired to be able to do something for the flesh, to make a discovery or perfect a method by which the fleshly body might enjoy more pleasure, longer life, and suffer less pain. Thirdly, to construct a more flexible engine with which to carry into execution the design of the will. I called this the Lura prayer to distinguish it from the far deeper emotion in which the soul was alone concerned. Of these three divisions, the last was of so little importance that it scarcely deserved to be named in conjunction with the others. Mechanism increases convenience, in no degree does it confer physical or moral perfection. The rudimentary engines employed thousands of years ago in raising buildings were in that respect equal to the complicated machines of the present day. Control of iron and steel has not altered or improved the bodily man. I even debated sometime whether such a third division should be included at all. Our bodies are now conveyed all around the world with ease, but obtain no advantage. As they start, so they return. The most perfect human families of ancient times were almost stationary, as those of Greece. Perfection of form was found in Sparta. How small a spot compared to those continents over which we are now taken so quickly. Such perfection of form might perhaps again dwell contented and complete in itself on such a strip of land as I could see between me and the sand of the sea. Again, a watch keeping correct time is no guarantee that the bearer shall not suffer pain. The owner of the watch may be soulless, without mind fire, a mere creature. No benefit to the heart or to the body accrues from the most accurate mechanism. Hence I debated whether the third division should be included, but I reflected that time cannot be put back on the dial. We cannot return to Sparta. There is an existent state of things, an existent multitudes, and possibly a more powerful engine, flexible to the will, might give them that freedom, which is the one and the one only, political or social idea I possess. For liberty, therefore, let it be included. For the flesh, this arm of mine, the limbs of others gracefully moving, let me find something that will give them greater perfection, that the bones may be firmer, somewhat larger, if that would be an advantage, certainly stronger, that the cartilage and sinews may be more enduring, and the muscles more powerful. Something after the manner of those ideal limbs and muscles sculptured of old, these in the flesh and real. That the organs of the body may be stronger in their action, perfect and lasting. That the exterior flesh may be yet more beautiful, that the shape may be finer and the motions graceful. These are the soberest words I can find, purposely chosen, for I am so rapt in the beauty of the human form, and so earnestly, so inexpressibly prayerful to see that form perfect, that my full thought is not to be written. Unable to express it fully, I have considered it best to put it in the simplest manner of words. I believe in the human form. Let me find something, some method, by which that form may achieve the utmost beauty. Its beauty is like an arrow, which may be shot any distance according to the strength of the bow. So the idea expressed in the human shape is capable of indefinite expansion and elevation of beauty. Of the mind, the inner consciousness, the soul, my prayer desired that I might discover a mode of life for it, so that it might not only conceive of such a life, but actually enjoy it on earth. I wished to search out a new and higher set of ideas on which the mind should work. The simile of a new book of the soul is the nearest to convey the meaning, a book drawn from the present and future, not the past. Instead of a set of ideas based on tradition, let me give the mind a new thought, drawn straight from the wondrous present, direct this very hour. Next, to furnish the soul with the means of executing its will, of carrying thought into action. In other words, for the soul to become a power. These three formed the Lura prayer, of which the two first are immeasurably the more important. I believe in the human being, mind and flesh, form and soul. It happened just afterwards that I went to Pevensey, and immediately the ancient wall swept my mind back 1700 years to the eagle, the pilum, and the short sword. The grey stones, the thin red bricks laid by those whose eyes had seen Caesar's Rome, lifted me out of the grasp of house life, of modern civilization, of those minutiae which occupy the moment. The grey stone made me feel as if I had existed from then till now. So strongly did I enter into and see my own life as if reflected. My own existence was focused back on me. I saw its joy, its unhappiness, its birth, its death, its possibilities among the infinite, above all, its yearning question, why? Seeing it thus clearly and lifted out at the moment by the force of 17 centuries, I recognized the full mystery and the depth of things in the roots of the dry grass on the wall, in the green sea flowing near. Is there anything I can do? The mystery and the possibilities are not in the roots of the grass, nor in the depth of things in the sea. They are in my existence, in my soul. The marvel of existence, almost the terror of it, was flung on me with crushing force by the sea, the sun shining, the distant hills. With all their ponderous weight, they made me feel myself. All the time, all the centuries made me feel myself, this moment, 100-fold. I determined that I would endeavour to write what I had so long thought of, and the same evening put down one sentence. There the sentence remained 2 years. I tried to carry it on. I hesitated because I could not express it. Nor can I now, though in desperation I am throwing these rude stones of thought together, rude as those of the ancient wall.